Hello, welcome to Chrysalis Invictus. This is a general reading, pick a pile reading for the collective. So if you're drawn here, if you're drawn to one of the piles, this could be for you. I encourage you to leave a message for yourself down in the comments, the pile that you've chosen, and maybe a little note for yourself just in case this ever comes up on your feed again and you are actually drawn to a different pile. This can be really interesting. I like doing that in the YouTube videos that I watch. And today's poem or piece of fiction that inspired the reading is William Blake's Jerusalem, specifically chapter 2, plate 35. So some of the interesting concepts there, Rahab and the Gate of Loss. So righteousness and good deeds, as well as this sort of vortex or space or the passage between salvation and damnation, or righteous justice, and even with the cards that came out for the runes, there's a theme of sort of battle or conflict and how to navigate those things, as well as severity. So, extreme moral judgments or extreme actions that are done that destroy the ability to forgive in another person, and those being the ultimate misdeeds, so to speak. So those are some of the bigger themes. You definitely don't have to tap into that. If you want to just skip ahead to the piles, I should have said that at the beginning, feel free to do so. This is just a new thing that I'm trying out because I wanted to bring more poetry to my channel. So we have 3 piles here. Pile number 1 is the Rune OTHALA with the Hermit crab. And in this particular set, it is in the Tyr or Tyr, the Norse god of war and justice. And then for the second pile, we have KENAZ. Forgive my pronunciation, but it's a barn owl. And this is it under Freya, so the goddess of love and battle. And finally, for pile 3, we have LAGUZ, the seahorse. And again, this is in the family of Tyr, the Tyr, for war and justice. There's also a theme of sacrifice in that one as well. So I'll let you pick your pile and I will meet you at your reading. For those of you who selected pile number 1, this is your reading. So we'll start by laying out the cards. We have OTHALA, and then we have the card of no. Sorry, I can't see the camera, so I'll just have to trust that that looks okay. And then from the Enigma deck, we have time. Oh. Okay, I think I'm going to start there and then I'll pull out the tarot cards after. Okay. So what's going on in your energy or in your life right now? Pile number 1. OTHALA with this hermit crab, obviously it calls to mind the symbol of Cancer. So you may have, some Cancerian in your chart. It definitely doesn't have to be relevant for you. But the keywords for this rune, and runes are new to me, so I'm just learning alongside you here. But it's home, inheritance, group, prosperity, heritage, and ancestors. When I was pulling this card, I really got that 10 of Pentacles feeling, the feeling of, Yeah, the carrying the fortune of the future on your back. So much less to do with ancestors of the past, but that you are an ancestor for someone in the future. And so a little bit of magic for OTHALA could be you can draw this on your feet to connect with the land or your ancestors. I think it's much more in this pile about connecting with the land. There's something, I'm getting like the feeling of teeth gritting, or like when that nails on a chalkboard feeling, but for other things. So if there's something that really icks you out, you'll know what that is. There's this really uncomfortable grating feeling, something that's going against your sense of self. And just because these readings had this sort of moral idea at the onset, it feels like something that's going against your morals or your ethics, or a way that you're being asked to behave or interact that is a big no on the inside, but it feels like you're still performing it on the outside. So I do feel like that's an energy that we're definitely going to have to take a look at here with number 17, time. This to me feels like something you've compromised on that is running out of time. So, I hesitate to give examples on this because I do feel like this is for some of you, this is a very serious matter. It has to do with parentage or grandchildren, or the next generations, and perhaps what is happening to next generations if you have certain conflicts that you're witnessing, or certain behaviors that are unjust or go against your sense of what is right. For some of you, this is also the saying no when it feels difficult is the right path. So if that was a question for you, yes, so it is important for you to say no. But really what I'm getting here, so this is very, very strong resistance. It's very difficult to read this, but there is a sense of time running out. And if you keep sitting on this decision or on this action, you will run out of time, or it will escalate. It will get worse. And so there's this sense of fear, or this sense of like, perhaps you're saying, well, it's not my business, or it's, you feel that you don't have as much power or say in a situation, but it's very strongly indicated here that that this is taking a toll on you. So let's take a look at the tarot cards and see what they have to say. The Moon. Okay, so you may be losing sleep over this. The Ten of Wands, yeah. Okay, and the Nine of Wands, wow. Okay, so there's some very strong intergenerational conflict happening here. I think that there's certain values that are misaligned. There's also a sense of responsibility that's been taken on, where it feels like this, perhaps you've been feeling like this shouldn't be my responsibility, but it is, or it has become that. The cards are indicating that you should lighten your load, so however you can, and part of that is taking action. The Moon here indicates that you have been in a space of observation, so you've been watching something from afar perhaps, and maybe you're wondering, what can I do? Like, what can I do to really improve this situation or help this situation? But you are reminded that the next generation, whether they are your children or not, are children of this earth, and they are in need of care and kindness. So even, you know, providing a child with a snack, if you know that they're not receiving proper food, or providing them with a safe space to speak to an adult that they don't normally have access to, that helps. Like every little piece helps. And I do think that it would be helpful to look back on what you needed as a child, or actually I'm getting more strongly that you may have observed a friend or sibling or cousin go through something similar to what what is happening here. For those of you where it's not directly to do with a child that you know, but it has more to do with next generation and I want to say reproduction, there is a strong influence coming from outside of yourself that is telling you how to think and feel about this situation. And it's time to set a boundary with that and really honor what you think and feel about this situation. Ultimately, this is not a small thing. This is really what I want to say. This is not a small thing to sit on for any of you. Any of you who have selected this pile, I know this isn't probably what you want to hear, but welcome to my channel. You're always welcome to click away and find something else. But this is not something to put off anymore. It's not a small thing. These are strong beliefs that you hold inside of yourself, and the action that is being asked of you or what is needed from you does not have to be big or life-changing in a sense. Like small actions make a big difference, and that's where the 10 goes to the 9, right? So you're kind of pulling away, but really what is needed is sacred protection of the next generation. That's what I'm getting ultimately from this reading. And with your with the rune and how it represents home, I really feel like you can perhaps do that in some way to do with the home or to do with nurturing. And I've just pulled 2 of the divine doors. And so it says here, inner power. By your own command, you brought yourself here. At this moment in life, you have nothing to fear. For some of you where this has to do with having children or not having children, perhaps you are finding yourself in a situation where you are with someone that does not want to have children or has views on when that is appropriate. This is about being honest with yourself about what you truly want or need here. For those of you who are in an observer role in this reading, this is about a reminder that the next generation needs you, and whatever that means to you. And then we have Jude's song. A reminder, for even the most hopeless of lost cases, you can find peace within the strangest of places. Yeah, definitely think back on. So for some of you, I'm really getting strongly that there's an observation of aunt or aunties, or there's a lot of aunt energy around this. So maybe you're the aunt, or maybe you are one and you are feeling very strongly that there is something that the children around you need. And this may not be a shortcoming or judgment of the parenting either, but that it's something that you yourself have to give that they just don't have. So whether it's resources, but a lot of it is a lot of it feels like time, energy, and protection. Protection comes in all different forms, so feel free to be creative here. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to make calls and start big wheels in motion. It's more like spending time singing a song to a little one. That can mean everything, but also just the way that you carry yourself and the way that you bring energy forward. But also thinking of a situation in the past. So for some of you, I feel like there was an aunt that maybe didn't have children but wanted to, or that you wanted to have help you but didn't, or that did, someone's mother that took you under their wing or demonstrated something to you. Just definitely look back and reflect on those situations and see in yourself what the best course of action would be, because this is a general reading. I can't be more specific, but that is what I have for you, pile number one. I hope this was helpful, and have a wonderful day. You got this. You're strong. You're brave. Take care. All right, pile number two. I have a message for you before we even get into the cards, and it's that there is something that you may be trying to make beautiful that needs to be accepted in its less beautiful form, or less perfect, or something perhaps that you're creating, or something that you are working on. Just let it be what it is. Actually, the ugly may, even if it's not ugly or unpolished, perhaps, just sort of like, even this stone, like, I'm sure if I polished it, it would look gorgeous, but there's something about this raw stone that feels better than the polished for me. So I think it's something like that. Okay. So I'm just going to lay out the cards and then we'll get into the reading. So you have the KENAZ, I don't know, Barn Owl. In the protection of something beautiful, and then not the right time. That this refers to an attempt that was made in the past for something. This refers to something that maybe you shelved, or I don't feel like it's now that's not the right time so much for you, but we'll get into it. Oh, and you had two of the Enigma cards come out. Everyone else had one. So we've got War. Yeah, you're going to battle. Pile number two. You're at war with yourself or someone, and the waning gibbous. There was a blessing that was given to you, a kind of talent that feels almost implied in your life. Like, it's almost something that you don't recognize. I'm hearing the word midwife a lot. So, and I don't think we have to be literal here. For some of you, it could be that you have a natural ability to be a midwife or a doula, or someone who brings life forward or assists in bringing life forward. But, there's one of my teachers, Kashlyn Matthews, she taught me this phrase, midwife of the soul. So bringing something forward, birthing something. And because this is so strongly connected to art and creativity, with KENAZ, this is the hot, bright energy of fire. It has this forging, but not from metal. It's almost like ideas, or something you wouldn't normally use the forging kind of metaphor for. But this card this rune represents enlightenment, creativity, skill, offspring and learning. You can use this to find a true path. And then also it's recommended that you inscribe it on a candle when you're reading cards. It's a really simple symbol, as you can see, to carve on a candle. So something to think about there. But a big part of it is this idea of curiosity and intelligence. And I feel like at some point in time, you tried to bring an idea forward and there was quite a bit of conflict in bringing that forward. It didn't feel like it felt like you were ready, but it didn't feel like perhaps the world was ready, or it was not well received, or it was met with some kind of shade or definitely misunderstanding. And let's look at the tarot cards to see what they have to say. So we have the Three of Wands. So much fire energy in this reading. The Queen of Cups. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So pile number 2, you've been watching, observing, working on this idea or creative projects for a long time. And it may feel like you haven't picked it up in a long time, but I'm getting here that there was the journey began, and then it kind of slipped into I want to say the work that you've been doing more recently, or since not the right time, since whenever that was for you, you've been kind of working on it in your subconscious, I want to say, like more in dream state, more in trance state, and to access it is just to access that undercurrent, that creative space, however you create, whatever kind of flow it is. I feel like you have been watching others execute similar deliveries, if that makes sense. That's part of it. And it may not be that they're even in the same medium as you. They don't have the same ideas as you, but you've been watching different people bring something forward that is perhaps unique or different from what other people in their industry or field are doing. And that is going to bring, with that knowledge, you have so much active energy here. It's just create, just do. Even if you feel like, I don't know what I'm doing, just sit down and do it. What I did with this reading, I think, is actually fairly good advice for you. Like, sit down with a book and just open it to a page, if language works for you. Or let a song, a randomly selected song, speak to you. Let the random bring this arrival of, it's not forcing the energy, but it's like getting you out of the procrastination, getting you to move forward with your ideas and create things. I feel like you have more ahead of you than you have behind you, but you've already prepared for this. It really feels like the framework has been created and that you're just moving. You just have to step into it, really. Yeah, I mean, that sounds nice. So let's take a look at these door cards. First, you have Destiny. Okay, like a little bit heavy-handed, but I am getting that this is sort of your destined path or goal. One door closes, another opens for you. Let the plans of destiny unravel true. Ooh, the plans of destiny. Okay, so the timing here. For those of you where this is Okay, this is interesting because we're taking a big switch. So I don't even know if the people where this message would apply would still be listening. But for some of you, it could be a relationship that kind of started and then there was conflict and then there was a period of just sort of observing each other. And I do feel like this is kind of like social media, like you're just looking at each other from afar. But I also kind of feel like those people are connected to you in a creative way. Like there's an aspect of you that is, you create things together that you otherwise wouldn't be able to create. Like as much as we value independence and everything, independence is great, but we have to, you know, you have to admit that there are things that couples and groups can do that one person can't. And here, like this is you, it's just, you're walking into the right thing. I feel like you're walking into it. Sand through the hourglass, yet time could stand still. A moment lasts forever in the bliss of the heart's will. Okay, yeah. The moment's joy is the feeling of being with this person as well as creating. If it's a person or being in the energy, it could be a guide even that you have where it feels like, it feels light, it feels bright. Do whatever you have to do if you know that this energy or this situation loves, I don't know, certain foods, certain activities. You just feed that to yourself, right? Like, I'll give you an example. So I live across from a lake. It's only swimmable a couple months a year. It's very cold, but I live across from a lake. And I am very conscious of the fact that after I do this reading, I have another reading that I'm creating quite a large series of readings relating to the higher and lower self and as sort of metaphysical philosophy. And I thought it was just going to be a single reading, but now it's kind of grown into something larger. And so I wanted to do this reading, and then I'm going to go swim and kind of cleanse and clear and realign the energies, because that will give me the endurance to do what is next. And I think there are practices for you that are like that. And so to align your life in service of that. So if it's, you know you need a certain cup of tea, or you know that you need to go for a drive, how can you build your life in service so that as you're moving through this sort of awakening, it's like illumination in the darkness, honestly. Like there's this, it's when you bring your subconscious forward. So yeah, so in the stance of, in trance, in journey work, in meditation, whatever you want to call it, getting into that flow, practicing, I guess, yoga or however you access it. So maybe run, do all of those things. Anything you can do, and set your life up that way accordingly for the next while, so that you can make yourself into the channel through which this comes, if that makes sense. Okay. I'm going to leave you there. Lots of love to you, pile number 2, and best of luck. Let me know what you're creating down below. Thank you. All right, pile number 3. So you have the LAGUZ card, and with the seahorse, and this is a card that really the message here is letting go of control. So it's also a card of flow, memory, dream state, on the unconscious, fate, karma. And that's interesting. I'm creating a larger series of readings that have to do with the unconscious and the flow state and the higher and lower self. And I think you're really in a good space to reflect on those themes right now. And we also have here reconsider. Okay. So I feel like you have decided something that is, I want to say almost contractual, or you've decided something is over or something is done. And I'm not quite sure that that is true. It feels like there is something about it that made you feel insecure or nervous or fearful. Okay, let's see the rest of your cards and then we'll learn more. Okay, from the Enigma deck, we have the Moth. So much dreamy nighttime energy. So right now your clairvoyance and future sight are enhanced with the Moth and the Rune here. It feels like you are surrounded by emotions and messages. I think a huge message for you is that just because you feel it doesn't mean it's true. So being more, a reminder to be discerning, that the key to something may be, you may still be at a crossroads with something, but your feelings make you feel like you've decided already. I think that's closer to what's going on here. But we'll take a look with the tarot cards to clarify. So the Eight of Wands. All right. Yeah. You've been communicating your desires for sure for some time now, or you've had this impulse to move something along quite quickly. It feels like it's something that needs to take time and that takes time to establish, or that has many, many layers to it. A little bit of the feeling is that there is an impatience with building a family, or an impatience with the stages of family building. So for instance, the difficulty of child rearing on a romantic relationship, or the difficulty of an aging parent on sibling relationships, things of that nature. And the call here is to be reminded that, be reminded of what you have rather than what you don't have. So taking an inventory, I know that's not present here, but I do feel like an inventory of what you do have, but then also looking at what family has been to you. What are your preconceived notions about family? What are you trying to replicate? What are you trying to avoid? Is the situation that you're in currently undesirable because it is not because it is unlike what you are accustomed to, and what you want is what you're accustomed to? Or is it because you are not used to security and stability? Because I see a lot of security and stability here right now. It feels like for some of you, there's nothing but that. It may be a little bit boring and you're feeling restless. I'm definitely getting restless energy here. Okay, let's the last one, the Hanged Man. Okay, yeah, don't decide, don't act. Or you have the ability to consciously decide not to act. There is some part of this, okay, so there's some part of this energy that feels like there is a tension that you are looking for that you are not getting. And let's not be judgy. Like, people need attention. And maybe you grew up in a situation where attention was looked at in a negative light, or maybe you grew up in a situation where you received more attention than what you're getting currently. Whatever your situation is in relation to attention, it feels like you're kind of like, hey, I'm taking this time to think, but also I need to be nurtured and paid attention to and cared for as I'm suspending my judgments about something. This reconsider is like, take time. There's also something going on in your subconscious that is misguiding you. I feel like this is emotional. There's an emotional current that's leading you away from what you want, that appears to be leading you to where you want to go. So be very careful of that the shadow that's cast is a shorter path, but it's actually a shorter path. Like it doesn't lead you to where you want to go. It's an illusion, or what are those called? In a desert where a mirage. It's a mirage. Like it's not as nourishing or nurturing as you think it is. So beware of the easy path. It's reminding me of what this reading started with me talking about William Blake in one of his works in the Marriage of Heaven and Hell. It's like the villain, the righteous man walks the path, the perilous path, and the villain walks the path of ease. And the only thing, like as soon as the righteous man walks the path of ease, he becomes the villain, and vice versa. So it's that kind of, if you're perhaps thinking you're going to trade one situation for another or leave one situation for another, and you're seeing that the grass is greener, or it's been communicated to you these different ideal things, I would be cautious for the time being. And let's take a look. So I got this door for you, and it's a cure for longing. Love is happiness, a spark inside. Live deliberately and choose boldly, then you have arrived. Yeah, I think that there's an aspect of this that feels like, oh, yeah. Okay, so if you are someone who maybe sometimes feels like, spirit is leading me here, or this is divinely led and I'm just following the current. This is a time to question that. This is a time to think, okay, like maybe the current isn't leading me where I need to go. I need to make choices, like deliberate choices, to get to where I'm going. And those deliberate choices have really practical aspects to it, and they're more energetic than emotional. And how I would describe energetic is, how would I describe energetic versus emotional? I know how it feels in the body. So energetic has more of like a static and messages to it. Emotions have that current. It's like a bit deeper. I don't know. Actually, I don't know, maybe make a video on that. Oh, I like this. I like this door for you. So this is sort of where you're headed. Draw down the moon. The forest nymphs dance in sheer delight, singing soft songs. Find us in the wild good night. Yeah, this is about finding peace inside of yourself. There's a definite quiet that is needed here in the moonlight, in the night, being alone. That may be what you need here, is being alone. It looks like there's going to be a half moon cycle at the least of this. So, a few weeks of kind of think about other things, do other things. Tend to this ability to make decisions and choose. And look at the information that is truly given to you. I think your emotions are misleading you right now. So I think I'm going to leave it there. Yeah, and I'll check in again kind of with this energy, but I I wish all the best for you and sending you lots of love. Take care.